Hello, everyone. So we have another TSDL game here for the round of 64 between Vanorion and Vicelord. So we have Vicelord as player one, starting off on Cape of Sorrow. Welcome in, chat. Welcome in. All right, Rosin bans first on both sides means that both people want to play AoE. We see a Clotaire, we see a Vincent. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty hard AoE box. Vanorian side, actually not as much. So the Rosin first ban, not as meaningful there. It does open Wedham pretty nicely. But beyond that, I guess you can have AoE Lucretia. Jugler doesn't really care too much about Rosin because Jugler damages whatever. Feel like you get to end every workday with the match? Yeah, it's good times during TSDL. So we do get a flow first pick from Vicelord in response to the Rosin ban. Looks like that's his only other healer, so he did go ahead and grab it just to make sure he had a healer. Does lose the burn heart though, so no burn buff for the flow. Get a Jugler pick from Vanorion. Jugler pick here makes sense, right? You see the Ares, you see Vincent, you see Autocrato, you see Clotaire, you see Alpha, Himiko, all these mostly damage-based physical AoEs. Very little in the realm of debuffing, right? Jugler very good against pure damage AoEs, not so much against debuffing. Because, if your entire team gets heal blocked, it doesn't really matter if Jugler's healing you every time. The obvious risk with picking Jugler is, of course, there's an Elwyn here who will just kill him. There's a Lucretia who might just kill him. Clotaire might just kill him as well if Clotaire runs single target. So it's definitely not a super safe tank. But it does discourage Vicelord from a bunch of these AoE options. Also, I hope we get to see Alpha. Big fan of Alpha. On Vanorian's side, he loses the other two tanks. I feel like this is a misban, if I'm being honest. I don't think Vanorian would or should pick these two tanks here. So I feel like you're just kind of wasting a ban here. Vanorian actually only has two other healers here. So yeah, the Jugler is going to be a problem if you're going AoE. So maybe you don't really want to ban out the healers. Maybe you just try and force single target out of this box. It's going to be kind of rough to do that. But you could try it and, ban out some of the single target threats. I don't love these tank bans when he's already got a tank pick. Because if he picks a tank here, right, then you just ban both the healers on the back of it. And then, the Jugler will be covered from magic damage by the tank. And then they have AoE assistance via the Jugler, but I think you could still beat through that. See an Elwyn from Vanorian. Pretty good against, not purely tankless yet, though I have a very strong suspicion that this is a Cav Jugler. Alpha can definitely wall it, though. Autocrato can wall it. So it's good, but it's not great just yet. The Wedham might have actually been stronger. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would expect Wedham to be banned, though. Yeah, there it goes. Vicelord does not want to give up too much in the way of free mobility for Vanorian. However, Sherry notably is left open here. Sherry with a faction buff is going to be very nice for Vanorian. Pepsi's okay. He doesn't get ruined by the Jugler debuff too badly. He does get spotted by it, which can be a problem. But Pepsi should be alright here. Brings his own faction buff, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Faction buffs these two. A reasonable enough pick. TJS, I didn't even see the TJS was still open. Yeah, that's a great pick for Vanorian. Because right now, Autocrato is the only one who could possibly guard at this point with the Alpha and Jugler getting banned. And Autocrato does nothing against TJS. TJS either just kills him or kills his team around him. Himiko is the pickup. Himiko's pretty good against a single target team like this. Yeah, to hit her twice to kill her. Still leaving a healer open for Vanorian, though. Himiko also not that great against Jugler specifically, because you just kind of don't really deal damage at that point. You run the risk of stealing water, which then cripples your Himiko. You could steal guard and accidentally get cheesed. So it's not a fantastic matchup for the Himiko. All your damage just gets kind of immediately healed back by the Jugler. Deedwit's going to be the pick for Vanorion, just maintaining the aggression while still getting a little bit of healing to help him out. A little bit of healing, a little bit of dispelling to counteract the little bit of debuffing that Vicelord's doing here. Ares is a pretty solid pick for Vicelord here. That's a pretty good last pick, and it will be Ares' pick. Yeah, Ares gives him a second check to this Elwyn. So he has Lucretia, who can one-shot an Elwyn. He has Ares, who can one-shot an Elwyn. Ares can kill a Jugler, but it's kind of scuffed on this map. Very scuffed. So that's probably not something to even bother attempting. Epsilon on Vanorion's side going to be much weaker since the only healing is the Deedlit. It'll be a little bit harder to keep this Epsilon at 100% so that he can keep sneaking around. So more likely he's just going to be, you know, a 5 movement, 3 to 4 range attacker, which is not bad against Tankless. It's not exceptional, but it's not bad. For a last pick, that's good enough for me. So yeah, Vanorion's comp here, very aggressive. Vicelord feels kind of split on what his damage is doing here. There's a little bit of single target, there's a little bit of assassin, there's a little bit of AoE. If Vicelord can get the engage onto Vanorion, get the first couple hits in, then he might be able to make something happen. He definitely has a lot of units that are very annoying to actually get a reasonable engage onto for Vanorion, right? You don't really want to hit the Lucretia because it's just going to revive on you. You kind of can't hit the Epsilon. The Ares has the same range as anything Vanorion has. You can't hit the Himiko. It's like I would have really liked a healer on Vanorion's side, a pure healer instead of just the Deedlit. Because I don't think there's any way that that Vanorion can be kind of the first into the fight. That's a... Okay, so that's a faction buff, Sword Ares. So it's probably not killing Elwyn. Interesting. Turn the music up just a little bit. Interesting. I don't love this Ares. You know, I gotta say, I don't love the Ares. A bit too much. Yeah, really not a fan of that. The Lucretia, yep. Against a Swordsmith Jugler, shouldn't be able to one-shot him through lobsters. Should not be able to do that. Ares buff does basically nothing for Lucretia here. She's never going to be that close to anyone. Six-star on the Epsilon. And yeah, we see a Swordsmith Elwyn. Still probably not bulky enough to actually survive the Epsilon. Will survive a Sword Ares, though. I wonder if this is a Stinger Ares as well. I have no idea. I have no idea what you would run on Sword Ares, but I don't know what you would run other than Stinger. Even still, it won't kill Jugler, it won't kill Elwyn. Sword instead of Flyer also is one less movement, so you actually just get zoned out by the Elwyn completely. Vanorion opting not to bring 3C here on the Elwyn, either expecting units not to die on his side thanks to the Jugler's help, or just a long game. I guess Vicelord could just hug the fog and make it into a long game. I don't think Vicelord really profit off of doing so, but right. Balance Blade for 3 rings per... It'd be 2 rings suck, but yeah, that is true. Balance Blade is the other thing that you would run on Sword Ares. In fact, it's probably what it is. It probably is Balance Blade then. No, it is 3 rings suck. It's 2 ring Wind Whisper, 3 rings suck. Yeah. Which is kind of... It's good and bad. Like, the extra ring makes it easier to pull people in, but you still have to actually hit someone in order to get this effect. And it's gonna be... Yeah, you can pull extra targets in because of the extra range, but it's gonna be even harder than it usually is to avoid pulling the Jugler, and if you pull the Jugler, you just don't do anything afterwards. Right? You deal negative damage after it. Action buff instead of Wind Whisper loses a lot of flexibility in that regard. Vanorion goes ahead and hides his Epsilon. I guess. You could save this hide cooldown for a little while longer, but it doesn't really matter. Breeze for Vicelord's Epsilon, who's also hiding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Even with the Breeze, not really threatening a lot. If you're Vanorion, you basically have to always count units as if they have Breeze anyway, since there is a flow here who can just rush anyone at a moment's notice. I guess Ares with Rush and Boots is actually better movement than Flyer Ares, I suppose. Angels, so he can pretend that he survives T-Jess or Elwyn. He does not. Might as well just bring Steel Wings. Right, like you're not gaining any bulk off of these Angels. Maybe if the T-Jess is like, 30% HP. That would actually be enough. So Vicelord does have the potential to do things like, you know, come in with Himiko, throw out a 3C, get mobility down on this Jugler, and then try and pick something with Lucretia. That is an option. Maybe you can pick off the Elwyn or something like that. Actually gonna go ahead and do something right now. Pass over turn priority, get this AoE off immediately. The problem is it just gets Seed. Seed Miracles just gets rid of the mobility down, and then you're back where you started. I guess you could push away. But you don't have any follow-up to this yet. Maybe you can set something up for next turn. What does Vanorion do about the Himiko that's thinking about coming in? Just run off and buff with the Elwyn. That does leave Elwyn in range of this Epsilon. Vanorion does have turn priority, but that means that you're basically pigeonholed into moving Elwyn first, which you don't really want to do. Yeah, you don't really want to have to move this Elwyn first, but because he's in Epsilon range thanks to this breeze, you now will always need to move this Epsilon, or this Elwyn at the start of the turn. Or you have to like move your Epsilon up to block it, but then you stop hiding and you just die here. That feels awkward. Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard for Vicelord to set up a lose-lose here, where you just kind of like push the Lucretia forward, threaten to, you know, pick off the D-Lit or something. Go ahead and lightning shurikens. Some damage, most of it gets healed off. Nico blocks, steals some defense buffs. Yeah, if Elwyn had 3C and already had a buff, he could have tried to do some sort of teleport, but there's not really any good targets. This is the problem, right? Ares is all the way back here, not doing anything. Can't kill Lucretia. Blow is like, whatever. Can't kill Epsilon. So the problem that Vanorion's going to run into right now is Lucretia can position very aggressively, and then at the start of the turn, you know, Vanorion has turn priority, but currently his Elwyn is about to die, and whoever this Lucretia positions to kill is going to die. So there's 2 units that are about to be dead, right? Because he has to get rid of this mobility down somehow if he wants to protect from Lucretia. Teleport the Epsilon in for what? What are you going to accomplish with that? Mobility down might have prevented him from just sending the Himiko home there. So there's an Epsilon in the middle of the map, but what does he actually hit favorably? Does he just kill Puppet? It does mean that Elwyn now has a revive, so you don't have to worry as much about that. You still have the issue of guard down, or mobility down, breaking guard on the Jugler. Himiko clocked, so you can just get hit with another AoE immediately. Could have killed Puppet then, Lou. Potentially. If he didn't get crippled by the Himiko, potentially, yeah. I don't see what this Epsilon's going to accomplish here. There is also the additional problem, since Jugler got crit, he got an extra debuff, so you're not guaranteed to get this off with Sea of Miracles. You might throw out Sea of Miracles and then just not get the mobility gone. And then, you know, you still just die to Lucretia at the start of the turn. And I suppose if you kill the Puppet, Lucretia's not threatening anything, but boy does it not feel good to trade Epsilon for a Puppet. And do that with the full knowledge that Himiko can just like come in and kill your TJS. What you got, Vanorion? I mean, I suppose, you know, you kill the Puppet, you get your I can't be killed buff. Feed with Sea of Miracles. Does remove the mobility. Actually dispels 2. Oh, this always dispels 2. Ah, I know how units work. Anyways. All the Steved's able to do here, though, is just send the Himiko home or put a Gospel on Jugler. Gospel it will be. I don't know why I thought Sea of Miracles was 1 debuff. I'm stupid like that. You can get your Epsilon spotted by Himiko here, which could be bad. Himiko could throw with another 3C, but it wouldn't really do much now that there's a Gospel here. Push these units would be an interesting option for just getting some extra damage out. We will see what these units want to do. There isn't yet GDP up either. It pushes the Jugler up, shuts off the revive on the Elven while simultaneously threatening to kill this T-Jess. Teleport is available thanks to the Sea of Miracles though. Act Again is not, but you could at least teleport the Elven out of the way. Keep him from getting killed for free while simultaneously retreating the T-Jess. That's an option. You could also, again, you could kill the puppet, then you lose your Elwyn to Epsilon. You could kill the puppet while unit blocking Epsilon and force this interaction to happen first. Though that might just be Ares coming in and trying to kill your Epsilon. Or at least hitting your Epsilon. Himiko just continuing to show off how much of a nuisance she is, though. Pushing units around, slowing people down. Being unable to be punished for any of her shenanigans. Okay, Elwyn teleports in deep. Elwyn is dead. Elwyn is just dead there. Not a huge fan of that one. We'll see if Vicelord takes it. Maybe Vicelord will misplay and send the Ares instead. You never know. Or he'll black hole. It does spot the Epsilon. Does a lot of damage as well. Not so much damage that Puppet will kill from here, mind, but it does do quite a bit. Burn proc as well, just to insult to injury it. Ares might be able to kill the Elwyn from here. Heal block on the Elwyn, because of course. Silence the Diva, it doesn't really matter anymore. Sea of Miracles is on cooldown anyways. It's looking kind of awkward. Just hits the Epsilon since he's in revive range anyways. Again, doesn't kill, never would. But it does a little bit more damage. Makes so that he doesn't want to even attempt the Ares. Goes for the flow instead. Does pick up that kill, no real concerns. Unfortunately did not dispel the burn, so it takes a big chunk of damage there. 80% damage reduction, he might be able to take a hit from here. I doubt it though. I doubt he takes a hit from the Epsilon. Epsilon doesn't have a lot of damage increase, I suppose, though. Feels close, but feels like he should be dead to 3C. Though obviously, this is not a priority target right now. Uses Epsilon to kill the Elwyn. okay. You do get 1 life. Fixed immune Elwyn saves him from the arcane, from the battle card. He is heal blocked, so he's not going to get any healing when he goes in. He can still first strike you, but at 1%, he's not really going to kill anything other than, like, the puppet. And then he'll just die at the start of the next turn. Where you going, Elwyn? Going for Lucretia. Does he get this? He does not. Yep. 1%, just way too little HP. Does work on resetting this Epsilon, though. Gets him some more healing. It's looking kind of awkward for Vanorion, though. He just has the act again available, but now it doesn't have a TP to go with it. So she's not really doing anything all the way over here. Deedwit silenced. Act again on cooldown. Not really doing much over here. Jugler's gonna jump. Get some damage out here. Does not have Beast Shock, though, for killing off this Epsilon. Probably get it with basic attack, but I don't know. Jugler basic attacks are awkward. I would not be surprised to see him failing to kill Epsilon here if he goes for it. Especially because he's probably going to get hit by someone before he can even do that. Okay, Lucretia does like 3 whole damage to the Epsilon. Puppet is not in range to give her the revive again. That feels like a oops. Because this water debuff means Puppet can only move 1 block. So there's no revive on this Lucretia. You just kind of lose your Lucretia here to Epsilon. Does Ares even reach? Yeah, but Vicelord realizes his mistake. Ares might not even be able to reach the Epsilon where he is, so you can actually just slow play this. TJ's able to click a 3C, picks up a kill there, healing the Epsilon, and then 3C heals the Epsilon again. Plenty of HP on him. That was a pretty big loss. This Lucretia is a pretty big loss. See another 3C from Himiko. Is hitting the Jugler here, thus this damage is just not really there. Clocks it again. Definitely nice. Yeah, I mean, this Lucretia is just absolutely 100% dead. I think you wait a little bit on it just to make this Ares use his move before you go in. Vanorion chose skills for a slow game and then was kind of forced into a fast game, so I tried for it. Yeah, I think you should look at these comps though and always expect a fast game. It does actually go ahead and attack with the Epsilon. This is kind of a mistake. So now you just die to the Ares. When you have these 2 free actions that you could have burned first. Unless Ares could actually reach. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I guess the Ares could reach. Ares does not want anything to do with Epsilon? Really? You don't want to hit the Epsilon? You don't want to hit this Epsilon with stat downs? Now he's shielded. He wasn't shielded before. Look, he had a much better chance before. Why are you not hitting the Himiko? Why do you want her over here as opposed to over here? Because over here she just throws a 3C again. Now Jugler's out of range. Jugler's walked away from his friends. So she won't get the 3C reset, but she gets a whole bunch of damage sticking onto these 2. He just dies. Oops. Clocks again. That's 3 consecutive clocks on the Himiko 3C. Epsilon goes for the 3C. Proc. Yep, proc combined with the stat downs from Lucretia was enough to save the Ares. This is a lot of RNG in Vicelord's favor. And the Ares goes in now. This is shielded, so you can't do anything here. You have to hit this Jugler, but he's got 2,500 attack and you have 30% HP. I guess you just click faction buff and heal another 20%. This Ares is doing absolutely nothing. Okay, he attacks the Jugler and he's dead. Yep. Extra healing on the Deedlit. Himiko left with one AoE, which isn't going to kill anyone. Dragon Barrier instead of Triton, I suppose. The Deedlit is not moving, which is not that great, because it means that she's not getting extra defense out of her talent for tanking these Himiko hits. It's not going to really matter, because Himiko doesn't do damage anyways, but it is kind of awkward. Yeah, now you can just, yeah, there we go. Because you just hit with the Jugler, activate her talent, and then go kill. Let their timer burn way too much earlier. Kind of. Though in these aggressive games, those first 2 turns are the most important turns. So it makes a lot of sense to burn down timer during them. Alright, desert map, everyone's favorite. Let's see if we get any side boxes for game 2. Yeah, I definitely liked Vanorian's comp more from the beginning. I think not bringing the Elwyn 3C kind of felt like a mistake. Deedlit instead of Flow kind of felt like a mistake, but it was still a good enough comp that it didn't really matter. Angelina comes in instead of the Lewin. Lewin not really doing anything against this kind of heavy AoE, I suppose. Lewin much better against kind of more of a slow push matchup. Angelina gonna be pretty good here for just shoving people around, maybe freezing them sometimes. It's a nice gimmick. We see the Flow first pick again. Much stronger now that Vicelord's player 2. So that Act Again doesn't just throw away turn priority this time. We'll see if Vanorian picks an actual healer or if he just continues to go kind of ham. Elwyn, Angelina, Sherry, TJS kind of style. Epsilon is the second pick. I don't love that as a second pick. It buffs your Jugler, it buffs these two, I suppose. I still don't love it. At least this wasn't second ban double tank here, but I still really am not a fan of this double tank ban. Yes, you're picking a TJS who would rather hit the Jugler than hit these, but like, I really don't think Vanorian's picking a tank right now, because if he does, he kind of gets bullied for it, because he just doesn't have that much damage left. I mean, I guess if he never picks a healer, then he has plenty of damage. But I don't know. I don't love this ban. It is definitely better as a third ban than a second ban, because third ban is when you would start considering picking a second tank. But I don't think there's enough single target here to justify a second tank for Vanorian. Jugler can take a hit from TJS most of the time. As long as you have your lobsters and you're in water, usually you can take that hit. If you let her like stack all the way up and she has a faction buff and maybe some extra damage up, then she can start threatening to one-shot you, but usually you can take that. Elwyn gets picked. We see a couple Glory units go down, notably not the TJS though. We still have Elwyn TJS, which is still a very threatening combination. It gets worse the more checks there are to Elwyn, but right now there's not actually a lot of checks to Elwyn. There's someone who can block him, sure, but like this Ares isn't actually an Elwyn check because it's a sword Ares. This is a swordsmith Elwyn, so Wedham can't check him. You know, Elwyn can't check him. Epsilon can't check him. Could be trying to set up Alton Mueller to be more effective. I guess. He is going down a single target line this game, whereas he kind of felt indecisive last game between single target and AoE. So like now we have the Ham, who Ham definitely wants to be hitting into Jugler over these tanks. So like by this pick, I can see the tanks being banned. I just don't know if you wanted to give up the Elwyn before that happened. Because I imagine if you're not banning these tanks, you're banning like Elwyn plus, you know, Sherry, Elwyn plus Leanna. I don't know. Vanorian's still determined not to pick a healer. Much more confident in no healer this game since, again, Vicelord's headed down the single target line. You don't really need a healer at this point. Right, Jugler will take one hit and then die to the second, but in the meantime, you just kind of are running around killing units. I imagine we just see an Angelina last pick. Autocrato, he can block an Elwyn. That's it. He'll die to Deedlit. He'll die to... Well, he probably won't die to Epsilon, but he doesn't really interact with Epsilon. I guess 3C is obnoxious, though. This guy's just kind of a nuisance. 7 range, line AoE, that then forces you to walk in a straight line. Deedlit is a gospel for Jugler. It doesn't matter. You don't really keep your buffs against a Wedham anyways. Gambling on keeping Gospel versus Wedham is just a bad decision. You're in for a bad time. Yeah, I mean, if the Jugler takes a hit and walks away from it, that's probably good enough for Vanorian. In this kind of comp, you don't really need to take 2 hits. So that's why, like, I'm perfectly fine with no healer this time around. Last time, I was kind of uncomfortable with it, because there was a lot more AoE last time. There wasn't as clean of a way through the Jugler to just kind of punch him down immediately. This time, yeah, absolutely. Because, like, remember, what did the Deedlit do last game? All the Deedlit did last game was Sea of Miracles and Gospel the Jugler. Well, that's what a healer does. So you didn't really need Deedlit as kind of a supporting healer that also does a lot of damage. You could have just had a healer. You know, you're not going to die the AoEs on your healer because the healer's healing himself. You're going to be pretty okay. Damn, Kata's game is done already. Well, welcome in, Kata and crew. We're on game 2. So I guess you had a rush ditto. Not quite. I see. So yeah, game 1 went in Vanorian's favor. We saw basically the same comp from Vanorian as last game, this game. The only difference being Angelina here instead of a T-Jess. Vicelord this game is mixing it up a little bit, going for a T-Jess and Wedham here to get a little bit more single target damage into the Jugler, whereas last time he really only had a Lucretia that could single target the Jugler, and everything else was like assassins or AoEs, and it ended up not really working out in Vicelord's favor. It was fairly close though, I'd say. That's a Demon Wedham. That's an AoE Demon Wedham. Alright, so that's a thing. I find myself feeling less comfortable with this comp now. I guess you probably are running Balance Blade here, and I mean, like, 3-range heal block on AoE is pretty nice. There is a Gospel for dealing with this. I don't know. The problem is Wedham's range is so much lower as Demon. Yeah, this is the second person. This is the second unit that's usually a flyer that's not a flyer and has caught us off guard. T-Jess with just strengthen will never break this Jugler in one hit. You can take him to, like, 20% hero HP left, but you never kill. As long as he's in water, you will never kill. We do have Strong Arm, or not Strong Arm, Iron Fist on the Autocrato, Lava Titans. He's just dead to Deed. What is the issue? A lot of defense investment, almost no magic defense. I hesitate to call this a Swordsmith just because the magic defense is so low. These could both be Overlords, probably. That is a Swordsmith. Okay, then this probably is as well. Some really just all-around odd builds on Vicelord's units. Swordsmith here. Rushes the Wedum. Gets him up to that sweet, sweet flyer movement. That does mean there's no Act Again coming out the first turn, though. Which is one of the nice things to have a flow for. God, Autocrato with no mobility buff just barely doesn't hit Vanorian's units at the start. I mean, Vanorian once again did not bring 3C on the Elwyn, and I think once again that is a mistake. Because now, like, this Wedum can get teleported forward, and you can't actually stop it. Because all of Vanorian's units need a turn to set up. Whereas Vicelord's units are ready to go already. Right, they got a mass attack, they're ready to jam. We do have the Angie for five freezes. 20% chance be damned. This Angie's going to be a very, very nice unit for Vanorian here. I'm not a huge fan of the alternate, I don't think. As opposed to just a single target skill in this game, since there's so many. There's not really a tank here. Right, there's just an Autocrato. Who's gonna probably be kind of far away and is also just giga dead to Deedlit. Himiko just doing Himiko things, critting herself. Yeah, I mean, if this was 3C Elwyn, Vanorian would be in a super comfy position right now. Because he could keep this Wedum out pretty well. But not super well, I guess. The Wedum could always, or the Autocrato could always just like move up guard and then the Wedum TPs into guard. Autocrato is definitely a good pick for Vicelord here. Since his plan is Demon Wedum clicks AoEs. Wedum still has pretty good attack. This attack seems really good for Swordsmith as well. It is a 6-star Wedum, so that does help quite a bit. Teftir, you say that, but actually Christie doesn't. Christie with Phalanx can actually get one shot by Elwyn. I know that sounds wild, but it is a thing. You have to have the right Elwyn build to do it. And you have to have the right troop trainings to do it. But Unicorn's Elwyn can absolutely one-shot a Christie. I don't think you can one-shot... Maybe you can kill an Autocrato if you have that as well. I don't know, though. Probably not. Yeah, Lava Titans have a lot of HP, so it's going to be hard to get the 2-tick. You say that, Kata, but they don't have the... I guess the damage reduction on Phalanx doesn't matter. Christie does have her own damage reduction to be similar here, but no, you probably can't do it to Autocrato, just because of the HP on Titans. Taffeteer, it needs to be Twilight Star. It needs to be running Crush. So 3C, Crush. And then 80% Unicorns. And then it will absolutely one-shot Christie. Every time. Well, not every time. You know, if you proc, if you are running Mirror Armor Christie to disable the Crush, then it won't kill. But it will absolutely, it can absolutely kill Phalanxes. With Grassland. With Grassland hitting into guard, you know, doing all the things. But yeah, you basically end up at a threshold where Unicorns start 2-ticking Phalanxes, and then you just immediately kill Christie. The Unicorns kill all the Phalanxes, then Elwyn slaughters Christie afterwards. It's wild, but it is an actual threshold that can be reached. People are walking into Angelina range, and Angelina is just gonna stand. I don't love that. I feel like you wanted to keep this Angelina open just so, like, if Wedham does get teleported aggressively, you can just kind of fly in there and try and stun him. Push him away at the very least, because yeah, here comes the teleport. Okay. I guess you were always having to coin flip on Wedham teleporting here or teleporting here, whether you kept Elwyn or Angio up, if you had brought 3C Elwyn. Everyone is getting heal blocked here. Heal blocks and guard prevention for everyone. Except Jugor, because he has a Gospel. Rapid Route is the cavalry tech that boosts you when you get hit, or when you hit into guard. So you need to be attacking into guard with Elwyn to kill Christie. I don't know if you need group charge as well, which is the ally within 2 blocks. I don't know if you need that or if you can be away from allies. I just know that it is a thing that can happen. Alright, time for everyone to be heal blocked. Beadlet can immediately get rid of the heal block at least. Yeah, you aren't killing this Wedham though. You can't get rid of the heal block and then just kill the sword, I suppose. And since you have the Gospel on Jugor, he's not getting heal block, it means that he'll always be able to tank this TGS afterwards. You will get hit with this 3C. By that point, you have your healing available again. Yep, clock. That's actually an awful clock. Holy crap, that is the worst time possible to clock. Because now if you go for this Sea of Miracles, kill the sword, well, he just does it again. Right? He just clicks this button again and you're heal blocked again and you did absolutely nothing. That's probably the absolute worst possible clock. Yeah, Vicelord has clocked like every single skill that he's thrown out at this point. I guess he didn't clock Shadow. He didn't clock the 3C here, but my lord, he is clocking way more than he has any business doing. What do you do about this as Vanorion? Honestly, counter-engaging Angelina, not a bad idea. Now that you know this is clocked, just kind of running Angelina over here, throwing out an AoE, pushing these units around a bit, and like, you know, killing the TGS. Not bad. This... I guess you can also just kill the Autocrato here. Oh, that's not the target. I mean, it kills, but that's not the one that you wanted to kill right now. Because now you don't have a way through this Autocrato. So your L1's just kind of dead forever. Yeah, clock is good for swordsmith. Clock is good if you're just kind of built. If you're bulky enough to live, so like you're a swordsmith weapon like this one, right? This weapon's very bulky. Or if you're in kind of a slower box, clock is really good, where you can kind of take the turns to take advantage of clock. It can definitely be nice. Yep, and everyone's heal blocked again. At least he didn't clock it a second time. Copium. I mean, Epsilon can get it off of himself pretty quickly with exclusive. Angelina can do multiple actions to get it off of herself. So these units honestly aren't really that crippled by the clocks. They're just really, really annoying. Fingers crossed stun. Fingers crossed stun. Fingers crossed stun. Any stuns? No stuns. Alright. See you later, Angelina. You don't want to stay here anymore. Actually, he couldn't stun there. It was impossible for him to stun because he wasn't in water. His Teedwit's here. That's not RNG, that's just... It was literally impossible to stun there. He needed Angie to be in that tile to actually push them. No. Because he could have put Angie here. Push... These units were standing like this. So you push these two back to these tiles. And then T-Jess gets pushed into the wall. And then you can kill T-Jess with the act again. Flo was blocking. Flo was... How far is this push? This is 3 blocks, so Flo was standing here. Ah, yeah, so Autocrato would get pushed to here. Isn't good enough. So I guess he would still be guarding the T-Jess. Okay, Autocrato throws out 3C. Just for these two, though, that's not really doing very much. Other than just being annoying. Yeah, I guess that's true then. So he did need to take this tile to actually be able to push the flow. So this 3C didn't really do anything. Now it's on cooldown. Now you just kind of lose your sword, lose your Wedum, and then it's 3v5. I guess you can kill the Angies, make it 3v4. This looks not great for Vicelord though. Not great. Because he's just kind of out of damage. He's out of damage and he hasn't killed anything yet. Alright, that's interesting. I guess Vanorion here is just trying to move units away from the sword so that he can potentially just one-shot this Wedum without having to go sword and then kill Wedum. Like, you have plenty of time. You can take the time to just kill this sword. It helps your Epsilon as well. I guess the one reason to not take the sword is it can really hose your opponent on turn priority. The sword just has to take turns. This move does protect your Angie from the Himiko, I suppose. Like, I don't know if you really need to protect this Angie anymore. She's kind of done her thing. I don't know if Elwyn even kills this Wedum, even if he's the only one around the sword. I guess there's no rights to protect the Wedum. He just has a lot of HP. Maybe then? Maybe. GDB here, once again meaning no Beast Shock, potentially trying to kill. Oh, nope, Vicelord's out of it. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything that you can do here, right? You're going to lose your Wedum. Even if it takes 2 attacks to kill the Wedum, you're gonna lose the Wedum. And then all your units are on cooldown. Vanorion just kind of heals back up. while you're sitting there not really doing anything. Yeah, I think Vicelord just kind of saw the writing on the wall, decided to go ahead and call it. So that will be it. 2-0 to Vanorion. So that's it for this game. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a playlist, like off to the side or somewhere, wherever YouTube decides to put it, that has all the other TSDL games that I've casted. If you're watching on Twitch, we'll be here, you know, the next couple days playing during the regular Apex slot, during casting other TSDL games as they happen. Got plenty of games going on for you guys. So, until I see you guys next time.